The year was 2139, and Mars was no longer just a dream. Humanity had turned it into its second home, with colonies stretching across the rusty plains. The largest of them, New Horizon, housed over 50,000 souls, a sprawling network of domes interconnected by pressurized tunnels. Life on Mars was hard, but humanity had adapted, building a thriving civilization beneath the blood-red sky. Among the latest arrivals was Dr. Lena Morin, a seasoned geologist specializing in tectonic activity. She had been recruited by Ares Corporation, the mega conglomerate overseeing most of Mars' colonization efforts. Their latest project was the Mariana Rift, an excavation site located near Olympus Mons, where seismic readings hinted at an underground cavern system never seen before. Rumors circulated among workers. Some claimed they heard whispers in the wind, felt vibrations under their feet that seemed intentional. Lena dismissed these stories as superstition. Mars was a dead world, after all. But as the transport shuttle descended into the dust-choked atmosphere, Lena couldn't shake a growing unease. The sky outside was darker than usual, with the sun casting long, crimson shadows over the rocky terrain. Communication static crackled in her earpiece, briefly distorting the pilot's voice. Approaching Mariana Base, Dr. Morin, prepare for landing. The base itself was a skeleton of steel and glass, barely holding against the constant Martian dust storms. As Lena disembarked, she was greeted by Commander Elias Grant, a hardened ex-military officer with deep lines etched into his face. His handshake was firm, but his eyes were weary. Dr. Morin, welcome to Mariana. I wish I could say you'd get time to settle in, but we have a situation. Lena raised an eyebrow. What kind of situation? Grant hesitated. Our excavation team uncovered something. A structure. Artificial. We've lost contact with the team inside. A cold chill ran down Lena's spine. Artificial? On Mars? Grant nodded grimly. You're here to help us figure out what it is, and why it feels like it's waking up. As Lena followed Grant through the narrow corridors of Mariana Base, she noticed the tense atmosphere. Workers spoke in hushed tones, casting nervous glances at the monitors displaying seismic data. One screen showed erratic spikes deep within the Mariana Rift. A technician muttered about echoes that didn't match any known geological activity. On the walls, crude symbols had been scratched into the metal. Symbols that resembled the ones Lena would soon see at the excavation site. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. The wind outside the base howled like a living creature, and in the distance, she thought she saw brief flashes of light dancing over the rift. She told herself it was just machinery, but deep down, she wasn't convinced. The entrance to the Mariana Rift was a yawning chasm, surrounded by towering excavation rigs and floodlights struggling to pierce the suffocating Martian dust. Lena stood at the edge, gazing into the abyss. The wind howled across the rift, carrying with it whispers. Or was it just the wind weaving through the jagged rocks? Commander Grant, now clad in reinforced armor, handed Lena a communication headset. Once we go in, comms might get patchy. Stay close. Lena joined the search team, a group of hardened miners and scientists, all visibly on edge. Their path led them down a makeshift platform, descending into the red darkness. Every step echoed unnaturally against the rift walls, and Lena noticed strange carvings etched into the exposed stone. Patterns too symmetrical to be natural. As they ventured deeper, the air grew heavier, colder. Lena's suit sensors began to malfunction, reporting brief spikes of pressure and temperature that defied physics. Lights flickered, casting dancing shadows that seemed to twist unnaturally. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the crunch of boots against rock and the occasional static over the radio. We've reached the dig site, Grant's voice broke through the static. Before them stood a massive stone archway, half buried in Martian dust. Symbols glowed faintly along its edges, pulsating like a heartbeat. Lena approached it, her breath shallow. This isn't natural. This is engineered. But by who? The walls surrounding the archway were covered in more of the cryptic symbols. Some of the miners whispered that they had seen the carvings shift when they weren't looking. as if the stone itself was alive. Lena brushed off the dust from one of the glyphs, revealing what looked like a depiction of a figure, tall, elongated, with too many limbs. Suddenly, a scream echoed from the dark tunnel beyond the archway, followed by silence. The team froze. "That was Alvarez!" one of the miners gasped. Commander Grant tightened his grip on his rifle. "Weapons ready! We move in!" As they crossed the threshold, Lena felt a vibration beneath her feet, subtle but rhythmic, like something massive stirring below. The tunnel walls seemed to close in, and the symbols grew brighter. Deeper inside, they found Alvarez's helmet, shattered and smeared with something dark. No body, just the distant sound of something dragging across stone. In the suffocating darkness, a single thought echoed in Lena's mind. We are not alone. And whatever was here before them, it was awake. The tunnels seemed endless, twisting deeper into the planet. Strange whispers slithered through the comms, voices that spoke in an unintelligible language. The symbols on the walls pulsed with a sickly light, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. Suddenly the ground trembled violently. Cracks splintered through the stone, and a deep guttural sound echoed through the cavern. It wasn't a roar, it was breathing. From the darkness ahead, two colossal doors began to open, revealing a vast chamber. In its center stood a monolithic structure, ancient and pulsating with energy. It wasn't built, it was grown. Lena's breath caught in her throat. This isn't just a structure, it's alive. The walls of the chamber shifted, revealing hundreds of hollowed-out alcoves. Figures began to emerge, tall and thin, their skin like cracked stone, eyes burning with cold light. Commander Grant raised his weapon. "Fall back! Now!" But it was too late. The figures moved with unnatural speed, surrounding them. As Lena backed away, the structure pulsed once more, sending a deafening hum through the air. The ground split open, and from the depths below, something began to rise, a colossal being, awakening from eons of slumber. Lena's last coherent thought was a chilling realization. Mars was never dead. It was waiting.